So here at UA92, we completely believe in learning by doing, and our students are often tasked with putting into practice what they learn in the classroom out there in the real world. This week, one of our first year media students, Jake Redshaw, was able to put his interview skills to the test when one of our co-founders and England women's football managers, Phil Neville, joined us on Zoom. They talked all about UA92, tips on sustaining success, and the importance of character development as part of the UA92 experience. Let's take a look.
Hi guys, I'm Jake and I'm here with the current manager of the England's women's football team, Phil Neville. Hi Phil, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm terrific actually. Let's jump straight in. So why did you and the rest of the class of 92 originally start the University Academy of 92?
Well, I think it was a progressive thing, really. We obviously got involved. We bought a hotel just around the corner. We wanted to be, obviously, that's an area where we grew up. So we started to think about what we're going to be doing for the next 20 to 30 years after our playing careers. And we're all in employment now, but obviously employment sometimes changes. So we bought the hotel, then we bought Salford City Football Club, and that was two brilliant ventures that we went into. And then we started to think about the things that happened to us when we were younger, people being given opportunities, real good experiences and opportunities for younger people, doing it in a way that we wanted to do it. And there was obviously an opportunity to set up the university in an area that we were in love with, literally touching distance to the club that gave us so many great memories. And it was an opportunity to do something really special and do something a bit different, create a new type of vision for how Academy 92 or a university should be run, and that's allowing students to obviously get academic qualifications, but also do the things that in life that you need to do, and that's go to work, earn some money, and have things running alongside that would help them in their development.
I think that's really useful what you guys have done for all of us here at the uni, like giving us proper experience from a really, really early start. It's really cool.
What's important is that when we were young, between the ages of 16 to 18, people talk about footballers, but the biggest learnings we got were actually away from the football pitch. We were trained with our characters. We were taken out of our comfort zone. We were taught life lessons from a very early age, and that's why I think the UA92 allows us to do it. It allows us to have a flexible program and bespoke programs for students, for them to have life experiences and character building things as well. You know what I mean? So that's probably a good thing to say.
Yeah. Now, what personal skills did you learn during your football career at Manchester United and Everton that's helped you in your career now as current head coach of the England's women's national football team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, probably two or three biggest things was resilience to deal with setbacks, adversity, to deal with success, to deal with financial things, the resilience to deal with life lessons that it teaches. Life is not always, your life doesn't always go on an upward curve. And I think in my football career, there was some incredible highs, but the lows were just as powerful in terms of what it taught me. And I think that's probably what has taught me from my football career now going into business and into my managerial career, is that there are going to be some real fantastic, incredible highs, but along the way you're going to have to show some resilience, and you're going to have to show some character, and you're going to have to deal with people. I think dealing with people is a really big thing, about having difficult conversations and having conversations that are important. And I think throughout my footballing career, the managers that I worked for were never afraid to have honest, frank conversations with you to tell you where you stood and where you needed to go to, and it stood you in good stead.
Now, I've just finished my first 6 weeks here at the university, and the module was communications in the media. Yeah. Now, how were communications different back when you were a football player compared to nowadays? I'm not calling you a dinosaur, don't worry.
No. I think it's a great comparison. Is that when you played a first team game at Manchester United when I was 18, 19, 20, or even up to the age of probably 28, you literally did probably maximum one interview a week. There was no social media. You literally went to training, you trained, you did your job, you went home under the radar of any kind of media scrutiny, unless you was a Michael Jackson or an Elton John or a David Beckham at the time. Everybody else was literally, you just got on with your normal life. And apart from when you stepped out onto that football field, when there was cameras there was media there, that was the only time that you got scrutinized. I think nowadays, and it's not just football, I think in life in general now, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think I would find it miles more difficult to be a footballer nowadays, because you go to training, you're under the microscope, you then come home, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the colour of your skin, your sexuality, how you speak, how you look, all that gets scrutinised. And I think we live in a pressure cooker world now, where we've seen it this week, one bad word, one slip of a tongue, one mistake, one bad piece of clothing, and could really harm your career or damage your life in a way. And we've seen high profile people take their lives because of media scrutiny, media pressure, expectation. So I think nowadays, communication is absolutely vital. The way we speak, the way we communicate, the way we hold ourselves, the way we behave, I think goes a long way to your employment and success if you're in the public eye.
Yeah, you've raised some really, really good points there. And we've got a question about mental health that's kind of, well, not really like increased, but we've become more aware over it over lockdown. And we've got a question about that later. But I'm currently able to study on campus 50% of the time, with the other 50% online, like we're doing now. How important do you think it is for UA92 to be able to deliver its courses to students in person during the pandemic?
I think it's absolutely vital. I think it's critical for the health and development of our people first. Forget the education side, for them as people to have face-to-face contact, to have that ability to have conversations, not through a screen. I think the screen at this moment in time is causing a lot of workforces, a lot of businesses, even though it's probably upped the level of productivity, it probably has a knock-on effect in terms of team spirit, togetherness, culture, values. Living those values on a screen is different than living them in person. And I think the conversations that you have face-to-face are far more vital than the conversations you can have over a screen. So I think the face-to-face contact, to be able to have that 50% of the time, I actually think we're really lucky. There are people in the world that are stuck in their apartments, stuck in their houses, stuck in their habitats, in their villages, not being able to communicate with people. And I think that, along with obviously the horrific pandemic that we're going through, is causing a lot of illnesses. And I think mental illnesses is a big thing, a lot of stress, and it's putting massive, massive pressure on people's lives and relationships and families.
Yeah. I mean, going back to how we can come into the university like the UA92, I think it's very useful because I've never had experience with like really top quality cameras before, because I'm doing a media course.
Yeah.
So I can just come in, ask one of my tutors for a camera, and they'll go, oh yeah, sure, you can borrow one for 2 weeks, just make sure you bring it back. I mean, I did that last week, brought it straight back, got some great practice with it. Now I think I'm a pro, but I'm probably not. But yeah, it's really useful in that kind of way as well.
It is. I mean, if you think about this period, my daughter was part of the 2004-2005 age group that didn't do the GCSEs. You think about the football age group. You think about the 10 months lack of development, lack of training, lack of social development that we've had. And people in all walks of life, we've lost out on 10 months of social development, social activity, social communication. And if you look at any walk of life, any business, communication is the most important thing in any person, in any walk of life, in any business. And for the last 10 months, we've had to find ways of communicating that are far different than what we've had to communicate in the past. And yes, there have probably been massive plus points to that. but I think the negatives outweigh it. And to be able to go into a university, particularly at the ages that you guys are at, I think it's vital for the development, for your learning, for the ability to deal with people. And I should say, I'm fortunate. I'm in a profession where we can go to work. We can still deal with the people that we're in charge of. And that, I think, it makes us really lucky, because there are other businesses that at the moment, you go down the high street, they're shut down, they're under pressure, they're losing money, that don't have the same opportunities or profession to do that. So I think we're fortunate.
Yeah. In my first 6 weeks of UA92, I've already pitched ideas in front of Salford FC staff, created a podcast with a group of amazing people in my class. And now, of course, I'm interviewing you, Phil Neville. Now, why do you think this kind of hands-on industry experience is important for today's graduates?
Well, I think what's important for UA92 is that obviously you've got five Manchester United ex-footballers involved in a university. They've put their name to it, their brand to it. They've put their whole, financially, they've put money into it. So I think what's important is that you've got to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to make yourself accessible. When we go into something, we want to make sure that we're not just a name on the front of the building. We are the people inside the building, because ultimately we've got great experiences. And for the university to run like we want it to be, to run alongside our philosophies of what we've got at Salford City and what we've got in the hotel, you've got to be in there getting your hands dirty. You've got to be in with the workforce. You've got to be in the trenches with the people. And I think the experiences that we've had, Gary, Nicky, Paul, myself, Ryan, means that it's invaluable that we got to pass them on, because we've got real life experience. It's not just a textbook that we're reading from or a manual. We've got real life experiences that I think it's really important. And I think that's the commitment that we want to make. And also our network of people around us, we want to make that available to you guys to be able to go out there. And I always link it to coaching. There are thousands and thousands of fantastic coaches on a computer. But the reality is when you go out onto the football pitch, you've got to deliver. And that's what I think University 92 gives people, the opportunity to go out there and put into practice what they're learning. And if you don't put into practice what you're learning, I don't think you'll ever know how big your ceiling is. So I think that's a fantastic quality of the university.
Yeah. You guys bring the experience along with all the tutors as well. And we've also got access to Lancaster Library, all of it, which is absolutely massive. So you have got the textbooks there if you need it as well. And I think that's really, really great of you guys to actually, link up with Lancaster, a huge university, and we're able to get a really, really nice qualification out of that as well, with also the experience.
Yeah, I think obviously the brainchild of a university was ours, but ultimately, if you don't have really good foundation and backing, and to be linked with a university as brilliant as Lancaster was, if we hadn't have got that kind of link up, that kind of tie, that kind of partnership, I don't think the university would have been set up. I think we needed that kind of gravitas from a university that have been there and done it, and they've put the money where their mouth is, and they've developed some amazing university projects and university students, and they've got great success at success. And I think that was the key. And to be linked with them, I think, is probably one of the best things that we did.
Yeah. I'm a physical learner, and I learn best when I'm present and being focused on. Now, at UA92, we learn character and personal development as part of our degrees. Why do you think this approach of supporting the students achieve their individual goal or goals is so important, particularly today?
Well, again, I link it back to the type of learning or the type of teaching that we had. We were part of a team, but within that team, we had bespoke individual programs. Each player was treated differently. Each player was treated on their own merits. Each player had different characters, different traits, different skills, different abilities, and we were treated individually to develop our skills within a football team. And I think in terms of the character, I go back to what I said at the start, that you can be the best student, the best footballer, the best entrepreneur, but if you've not got the character, the desire, the determination to succeed, then forget the ability. Character's far more important than the ability. And so I think one of the things that we did at Salford City was that we developed our own bespoke program for our academy players, which was far different than what probably the main academies in England do. Yes, we have to fit into the structures just like the university do, but training the character of the person, taking them out of the comfort zone, allowing them to develop as people, and their characters to develop, I think is massively important, and probably, I'd say, equally as important, if not more important, than the actual degree that you're doing at the time, because without both, you're not going to get to the levels that you want to get to. And I think that's what makes this program and this university quite unique.
Yeah. Now, going back to the mental health, there's been a lot of awareness raised about it recently. And the need to be resilient in these changing times. We're also taught about resilience as part of our degrees here as well. Can you tell us about a time in your career which that you've had to deal with a challenge and how you've overcome the situation?
Oh, well, I think from a professional level, I've had many challenges. I got a real serious illness when I was 19. I got glandular fever, which I lost 1.5 stone, lost all my body mass. It was quite serious at the time. Had to really fight back, and I got back really quickly, 3.5 months, I think it was. But ultimately, it took me another 2 years to regain the body mass, the power, the ability, the durability to be able to compete at the Premier League level. Even though I was playing, looking back at some of the pictures, I was a shadow of the body or the athlete that I wanted to be. So that took a lot of mental strength in terms of the belief that I would get back to where I wanted to get to, the belief that actually it was going to be a slow process, and that there was times when I was going to be exposed physically, probably exposed to things that I couldn't probably handle, but I had to go through that. And then I suppose from away from football, in a life perspective, we had probably the biggest bombshell ever when we had the birth of my daughter. She was diagnosed after 1.5 years with cerebral palsy. Now, cerebral palsy is a muscle degenerative disability that affects bodies, limbs, muscles. And at the time, you have a baby and you think your baby's perfect, and then all of a sudden we got told she couldn't walk, and then we got told that she was probably going to be disabled for the rest of her life, which she is. And that was the biggest bombshell that I've ever experienced, because it's something so precious. And then all of a sudden your mindset has to change from one of maybe feeling sorry for yourself, maybe feeling why me, into we've got to give this child the best opportunity to succeed, to be able to walk. And then 3.5 years later, with a mindset of that toughness, that ability to, push her as far as we possibly could in terms of a physio, in terms of a stretching, in terms of a physical program, she took her first steps. And then all of a sudden that mindset was spreading to her. And now she's at my mainstream school. She's 16, going to college. And looking back, that was something bigger than football. That was something bigger than my own personal life. That was something that you go through that 3.5 year period where I nearly lost my wife, and my daughter was diagnosed as cerebral palsy, where you think that was a real character testing. And I never forget an old couple at the time. Me and my wife was out walking at the time, just probably consoling ourselves, thinking about what was around the corner for our little daughter. And they said to us, this baby was given to you as a challenge to you as a family, how you can come together, how you can pull together as a family to overcome these obstacles. And from that moment onwards, just a little saying like that brought us together as a family. Mums, dads, grandmas, granddads, aunties, uncles. All of a sudden, it was everybody. It was a massive learning curve for us all, in terms of, you're going to get bumps in life, and not life isn't always as you see it. And looking back, it was probably one of the greatest gifts that we've ever had. And now she's been part of a fundraising campaign that's raised £20 million to build an hospital for children in Manchester. And you think to yourself that has probably brought something out of us that we never thought we'd do.
Wow. Congratulations to everything, and also being so strong through it. UA92 provides support and opportunity for elite athletes to study whilst pursuing their sports career, which we know will last a finite amount of time. Why do you think it's important for athletes to diversify their skills so they can plan for a career after their sporting one?
I think it's vital. I work in the women's game now, and it's non-negotiable that alongside your football career, you've got to have something alongside that. A lot of the girls are studying at school for degrees. Some are doing their coaching badges. Some are doing media courses, and we see that as equally as important, if not more important, than the football, because a sports person's career is very short. It's a short shelf life, and through that you might get rejected, you might get an injury, and you have to prepare for a rainy day, you have to prepare for tomorrow. And I also think that it improves your skills in the job that you're doing at that moment in time. I at the last 4 or 5 years of my career started to do my coaching badges, and indirectly that helped me on the training pitch and on the football field to become a better footballer. And I think that wide range of diverse things that I was doing is vital, because when I finished my football career, I wanted to go into another line of work, and that line of work was either the media or the coaching. And ultimately I had to study for that. I had to prepare for that. I had to put the hours in to do that. And I think nowadays, I think alongside the things that you're doing, and UA92 allows you to do this, you've got to have 2 or 3 branches to what you're doing, because ultimately life doesn't always take you in a straight road. There are curved roads, there are curved balls, there are dead ends, and you've got to make sure that you prepare for every eventuality.
Yeah, I think that's another thing UA is so brilliant at. It's diversifying your skills. So again, going back to the camera, I can now operate a fully functional like TV camera and also a photography camera. So if I can and script write and whatever, it teaches you so many different skills that you can use in the media.
Yeah, you've got to upskill yourself for every opportunity and take every opportunity that goes your way. That was something that my father said to me: if you've got an opportunity, grab it with both hands. As long as it doesn't take you off your eye off the ball of where your goal eventually wants to be, another skill to your bow, another string to your bow gives you another opportunity to be better than the person that you're competing with for the job that you want. And I think that is something that Sir Alex Ferguson used to always say to us, is that if you're only doing what your teacher, what your coach is telling you to do, that's not enough. You've got to do more. And I think that is something that I say to my players all the time. If you're only doing what I tell you to do, you're not doing enough. You've got to do more. And we call it we call it the 12, 14 reps. Be a 12, 14 rep athlete. Be a 12, 14 rep footballer, not just the 10 reps that the fitness coach tells you to be.
Yeah, that's what I've seen with a lot of the tutors here as well. They've got that mentality to push the students. Now, following on from that, what are your hopes for UA92 students when they graduate?
The biggest thing for us, I think, is that when they graduate, they go straight into full-time employment. They go straight into what they want to do, rather than scrapping around or taking a year out. We want to develop the character, the skills, the mindset of, you know what, in life you've got to work, and you've got to work really hard. And if you work really hard at your academic skills at university, college, etc., the day you leave university, the day I retired from football, I walked into another job. There was none of that period of what am I going to do? The stress that comes from where's my next paycheck coming from. The minute that I finished my career, I walked straight into a job, because I'd planned, I'd prepared, I'd worked hard at it. And that's what we want for students at UA92. Grab the opportunity, work as hard as you possibly can. And the minute that you finish with us, we want you to be ready to step into full-time employment at a really good level, and to be able to go on the journey that you want to go on.
Yeah, I think that's another thing about the school as well, is the timetables. So you've got the morning or the afternoons, and that carries on for 3 years, all the 4 years that you're here. And so that means that you can plan your life around your university. So you can get a job, you can take care of family members, you can do whatever you need to do around the university timetable, which I think is another great thing.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at students, and you read the papers, you think about student debts and student loans and repaying them over a period of time, even when you're in work. Students have been crippled. You know, they've suffered badly through financially not being able to put themselves through, or families through, their children through university. So I think that the flexibility in the timetable was crucial for us, because like we said before, diversify your work, go to school, get your academic qualifications, do your learning, but then alongside that, go out into the world and work, go out into the world and upskill yourself, go out into the world and continue to learn as well. And I think that the flexibility in the courses means that students can relieve some of that financial burden by earning money, which is a big part of life experiences.
That was a brilliant interview with Phil Neville. It was really good to chat to him. Back to you in the studio.